You probably think you know where it's safe to travel. But what if the places you trust the most are the ones you should fear? There are countries where being black isn't just uncomfortable, it can be dangerous. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike. Today, we're exposing the top 10 countries where black travelers are not welcome. And this is not because what you do, but because of who you are. Hidden prejudices, serious discrimination, and real racial tensions still exist, and pretending otherwise can cost you. If you think this only happens in far-off places, think again. Some of these countries are major tourist spots, but behind the scenes, the experience can be very different for black travelers. Stay with me because we're breaking down the full list, plus real tips you'll need to stay safe. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. You'll want to be ready for what's coming next. Now, let's get started. Number 10, Morocco. Morocco is often praised for its colorful markets, historic cities, and stunning landscapes that attract millions of visitors every year. But for black travelers, the experience can be mixed, especially outside of major tourist areas. While Morocco is diverse compared to many countries in the region, racial tensions still exist, particularly toward black Africans. Travelers have reported incidents of racial slurs, aggressive haggling, and occasional refusal of service. Black visitors are sometimes mistaken for sub-Saharan migrants who often face harsh treatment and discrimination. This association can lead to negative assumptions and uncomfortable interactions, even in places designed for tourists. The historical divide between North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa has shaped social attitudes for generations. Although Morocco is officially welcoming to tourists, personal experiences vary widely depending on location and situation. In cities like Marrakesh and Casablanca, black travelers can still face open curiosity or suspicion, while rural areas can present more serious challenges. For black travelers visiting Morocco, it's important to stay alert, remain firm during uncomfortable interactions, and stick to well-reviewed hotels and businesses. A strong but respectful presence can help minimize difficulties while allowing you to enjoy the country's unique culture. Number 9, China. China is seen as a global powerhouse with booming cities, advanced technology, and deep cultural traditions. But for black travelers, the experience often comes with serious challenges that are easy to overlook from the outside. While China has opened its doors to international business and tourism, it has been much slower to adapt socially when it comes to racial diversity. Black travelers frequently report facing intense staring, service denial, and even open harassment. Simply walking through a busy street can attract uncomfortable amounts of attention. In restaurants, hotels, and stores, some travelers have been refused service or treated with clear suspicion. These are not isolated events. They point to broader issues within the culture that have existed for a long time. One of the clearest examples came during the pandemic in Guangzhou, where black residents and travelers were evicted from hotels, denied entry into restaurants, and subjected to mandatory testing and quarantine without cause. These incidents revealed how quickly racial biases can turn into systemic mistreatment when fear and misunderstanding take over. The root of the problem is largely cultural. Because China has historically had very limited exposure to black communities, many harmful stereotypes still persist. Black people are often portrayed negatively in media or simply seen as outsiders with no clear place in Chinese society. This lack of familiarity leads to suspicion, fear, and poor treatment. For black travelers heading to China, preparation is key. Expect public attention everywhere you go, especially in cities that see fewer international tourists. Understand that mistreatment, if it happens, is often driven more by ignorance than direct hatred, but that doesn't make it easier to deal with. Staying near international areas, choosing accommodations known for serving diverse guests, and keeping interactions polite but cautious can help manage some of the difficulties. Knowing the risks beforehand makes it easier to stay focused on the parts of the journey that matter most. Number 8, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is often pictured as a land of wealth, religious significance, and rapid modernization. But the reality for black travelers is often much harsher. Beneath the surface of the country's grand cities and historic sites, deep racial tensions still exist. While the country welcomes millions of tourists every year, black visitors often find themselves facing discrimination that is rooted in the country's long and complicated history. Around 70% of labor disputes in Saudi Arabia involve black workers. Most of these cases highlight poor treatment, lack of legal protections, and clear racial bias. But the issues don't stop with migrant laborers. Black tourists have also reported being denied services, treated with suspicion, and openly stared at or avoided in public spaces. Some even say they were treated as second-class visitors, compared to travelers of other racial backgrounds. The roots of this problem go deep. The region's history with the African slave trade created a racial hierarchy that still lingers today. Although slavery was officially abolished in the 20th century, the social attitudes it built have proven much harder to erase. Many locals still associate darker skin with lower status, even if they do not openly acknowledge it. For Black travelers, this often means facing microaggressions, cold treatment in stores, slow service at hotels, and random moments of hostility. Some areas, especially outside major cities like Riyadh and Jeddah, can feel unwelcoming or even unsafe if you visibly stand out. Public spaces that seem open and friendly to others can feel tense and uncomfortable. If you plan to visit Saudi Arabia, it's important to set your expectations realistically. Bring patience, be mentally prepared for social discomfort, and stay focused on your travel purpose. Knowing these challenges exist won't make every experience negative, but it will help you stay calm if you encounter unfair treatment. Awareness can make the difference between feeling overwhelmed and navigating the situation wisely. Number 7. Italy. Tapanese is known for its food, art, and history, drawing millions of visitors from around the world each year. But for Black travelers, the reality can sometimes clash with the image. While many enjoy Italy's culture and landmarks, there's a growing problem beneath the surface. Xenophobia and racial bias have been steadily rising across the country. Reports show a 35% increase in racially motivated crimes in recent years. African immigrants and Black tourists alike have shared stories of facing microaggressions, public harassment, and even open hostility. These incidents are not limited to isolated towns or hidden corners. They happen in busy cities like Rome, Venice, Milan, and Florence, places where most tourists assume they will be safe. The political climate in Italy has played a major role in fueling these problems. With the rise of nationalist parties and stronger anti-immigrant rhetoric, biases that may have once stayed hidden have become more public and aggressive. Black visitors may experience anything from being followed in stores to receiving poor service at restaurants or being stopped unnecessarily by police. Even in major tourist areas where diversity should be more accepted, Black travelers often find themselves treated differently. In some cases, locals assume Black tourists are migrant, which leads to negative stereotypes being immediately applied. This misjudgment can affect how travelers are spoken to, the level of service they receive, and the overall atmosphere they face. For Black travelers visiting Italy, it's important to set realistic expectations. Be prepared for occasional cold treatment or awkward encounters, even in popular cities. Choosing accommodations with strong reviews from other minority travelers, staying in well-traveled areas, and remaining alert to your surroundings can help you avoid major problems. Italy has a lot to offer, but understanding these underlying tensions is key to having a safer and more enjoyable experience. Number 6. India. India is often celebrated for its rich culture, vibrant traditions, and deep history. But for Black travelers, the experience can be far more complicated than expected. While the country offers incredible sights and warm hospitality for many, it also has deep-rooted issues with colorism and racial bias that can make travel uncomfortable and, at times, hostile. Studies show that around 62% of Black expats living in India have reported facing discrimination. Travelers often describe being stared at openly for long periods, sometimes followed through public spaces, or even refused service at hotels, restaurants, and shops. In some cases, Black travelers have been subjected to questioning by police or locals simply for being present in certain areas. What can seem like innocent curiosity at first can quickly turn into suspicion or exclusion. The roots of this behavior run deep. Colonial history linked lighter skin with power, wealth, and privilege, while darker skin became associated with lower status. This mindset still influences social attitudes today. Indian media, advertising, and even marriage markets heavily promote lighter skin as the ideal, reinforcing biases that affect how Black travelers are perceived. In big cities like Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore, travelers might still face microaggressions, but often have an easier time blending into the international crowds. However, in smaller towns and rural areas, the reactions can be much stronger. Public curiosity often feels overwhelming. It's not unusual for strangers to ask for photos, stare without shame, or treat Black visitors as a rare spectacle. At worst, some travelers have reported verbal harassment and being overcharged or denied service altogether. For Black travelers heading to India, it is important to prepare for intense public attention. Understand that staring and invasive curiosity are common and often not meant to be threatening, but also know that it can sometimes shift into open hostility. Setting clear personal boundaries, staying alert in less tourist-heavy areas, and traveling with a group when possible can make the experience safer and more manageable. Being mentally prepared can turn a challenging trip into a more empowering journey. Number 5. Tunisia. Tunisia is often seen as a beautiful Mediterranean destination known for its beaches, history, and vibrant markets. But for Black travelers, recent years have brought serious new risks that cannot be ignored. While tourism remains a major part of Tunisia's economy, growing racial tensions have made the environment far less welcoming, especially for those with darker skin. Between 2023 and 2024, there was a noticeable rise in attacks against Black African migrants and travelers. Reports have included racial profiling by authorities, harassment in public spaces, and even mob violence in certain areas. Many incidents were not isolated but reflected a broader shift in the country's social and political climate. Anti-Black rhetoric has surged in public speeches, media, and everyday conversations, creating an atmosphere where violence and discrimination are more openly tolerated. Travelers have reported being refused service, insulted on the street, or even physically threatened. In some areas outside of major tourist zones, the risks are much higher. While resorts and heavily patrolled tourist sites may still feel relatively safe, moving beyond those areas without preparation can quickly lead to dangerous situations. The roots of these tensions are complex, tied to economic struggles, political instability, and a rise in nationalist sentiments. Black migrants from sub-Saharan Africa have been wrongly blamed for social problems, fueling resentment that spills over onto all Black individuals, including tourists. For Black travelers considering a trip to Tunisia, extreme caution is advised. Stick closely to well-known tourist areas, avoid traveling alone in less populated regions, and always stay alert to your surroundings. Having a plan for emergencies and being aware of local news updates can also make a difference. While Tunisia still offers incredible cultural experiences, understanding the risks can help you navigate them safely. Number 4. Ukraine. Ukraine is often admired for its historic cities, beautiful landscapes, and rich cultural traditions. But for Black travelers, the reality can be very different. Beneath the country's proud heritage, there are deep issues with racial intolerance that have become even more visible in recent years. African students and Black residents faced serious discrimination even before the war began. Many reported frequent denial of services like housing, schooling, and basic public transportation. During the early stages of the conflict, these issues were thrown into the spotlight. When evacuation efforts started, many African students and Black individuals were pushed aside at borders, denied seats on buses and trains, and treated as second-class evacuees compared to Ukrainian citizens. Videos and reports from that time show that skin color played a clear role in who was helped and who was left behind. The war has only made the situation more complicated. National tensions are high, and outsiders, especially those who visibly stand out, often face even more suspicion and mistreatment. While major cities like Kyiv or Lviv might offer some level of protection through larger international communities, the risks increase significantly in smaller towns and rural areas. In those places, travelers have reported open hostility, racial slurs, and physical threats. The roots of racial intolerance in Ukraine stem from limited exposure to racial diversity and the influence of nationalist movements. While there are people in Ukraine fighting for more inclusive attitudes, the reality on the ground can still be dangerous for Black travelers, especially in times of national crisis. Reach for considering traveling to Ukraine, caution is critical. Stay in well-known areas, avoid isolated places, and be prepared for uncomfortable interactions. Research safe accommodations beforehand and, if possible, travel with a group. Understanding the current climate can help you move more carefully and protect yourself from situations that could escalate. Number 3. Japan. Japan is known around the world for its modern cities, advanced technology, and deep cultural traditions. On the surface, it seems like an ideal destination for travelers from all backgrounds. But for Black visitors, the experience can sometimes be more complicated. Beneath the polished exterior, Japan has been slow to embrace racial diversity, and that reality can show itself in subtle but uncomfortable ways. Surveys show that about 45% of Black expats living in Japan have reported facing bias. While outright aggression is rare, many describe daily microaggressions that add up over time. Black travelers often experience excessive staring, people moving away from them on public transportation, and difficulty securing services like housing or certain jobs. In some cases, hotels and businesses have refused service outright, even if they claim other reasons. One of the more visible signs of racial insensitivity in Japan is the continued use of blackface in entertainment, something that still appears in television shows and comedy acts even today. While the practice has faced international criticism, it reflects a deeper cultural issue, a lack of real understanding and exposure to Black people. Japan's long history as a homogeneous society, with very limited immigration, means many Japanese people have had little direct interaction with racial minorities. This lack of exposure has allowed old stereotypes to persist without being challenged. Outside of major cities like Tokyo and Osaka, these issues can feel even sharper. In smaller towns and rural areas where foreigners are rare, Black travelers might experience constant attention, unwanted photographs, and open curiosity that quickly crosses into discomfort. Even simple activities like dining at a local restaurant or visiting a tourist site can sometimes draw uneasy stares. For Black travelers visiting Japan, the key is preparation. Expect microaggressions and occasional awkward moments, but also understand that most people are not acting out of hatred. They are reacting to unfamiliarity. Maintaining patience, staying polite, and keeping your focus on your travel goals can help you navigate Japan's cultural landscape while minimizing unnecessary stress. And number 2, Turkey. Turkey is a country that bridges Europe and Asia, rich with history, culture, and breathtaking landscapes. But for Black travelers, the experience can sometimes bring unexpected challenges. While major cities like Istanbul and tourist areas along the coast are generally welcoming, racial bias and mistreatment still occur, especially outside of tourist hotspots. Black travelers have reported excessive staring, being followed in shops, denied entry to some businesses, and facing rude comments from locals. Some have also experienced issues with law enforcement, including random stops and invasive questioning. Although violent incidents are less common compared to some other countries, the social discomfort and bias are often strong enough to make travel stressful. Turkey's limited history with racial diversity plays a role in these experiences. In many parts of the country, Black travelers are still seen as unusual, leading to curiosity that can quickly turn into suspicion or disrespect. Media portrayals and lack of exposure have reinforced stereotypes that contribute to unfair treatment. If you plan to visit Turkey, sticking to major tourist areas offers a safer and more comfortable experience. Cities like Istanbul, Antalya, and Izmir are more familiar with international visitors, but in smaller towns or rural areas, caution is advised. Being aware of your surroundings, staying confident in public spaces, and having local contacts or guides can help make your trip smoother and safer. Number 1, Russia. Russia is a country known for its rich culture, historic landmarks, and dramatic landscapes, but for Black travelers, it is also one of the riskiest destinations in the world. Beneath the beauty of cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg, widespread racial hostility remains a serious problem that visitors need to be aware of before stepping foot in the country. Reports from Black travelers and residents highlight frequent experiences with racial slurs, harassment, and even physical violence. Public spaces, public transport, and nightlife venues can become dangerous very quickly, especially if you stand out visibly. Far-right groups and nationalist movements have a strong presence in many parts of Russia, and their activities contribute to an environment where racist behavior is often tolerated or ignored. Even in the biggest cities, where there is a larger police presence and more international visitors, safety is not guaranteed. Incidents of verbal and physical attacks have been reported not just in remote towns, but right in the heart of Moscow and St. Petersburg. Outside of these major hubs, the risks increase dramatically, with fewer protections and fewer people willing to intervene if a situation turns violent. Russia's current climate makes it one of the few countries where racism is not just subtle or hidden, it can be overt, aggressive, and life-threatening. Travelers of African descent are often treated with open suspicion, hostility, or seen as targets by extremist groups looking for confrontations. For Black travelers, extreme caution is necessary when considering a trip to Russia. If travel is unavoidable, it is important to stick to very public areas, avoid traveling alone, and have a clear emergency plan. Choosing safe accommodations, arranging trusted transportation, and minimizing time spent in isolated places can help reduce the risk. Understanding the full reality of the environment you are entering is critical to staying as safe as possible. Every traveler's experience is unique, but having the right awareness can make all the difference. Knowing what challenges may exist allows you to travel smarter, stay safer, and focus on enjoying the journey. The goal of this video is not to discourage travel, but to help Black travelers move through the world with better preparation and confidence. If you found this information helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell for more travel insights. Share your own experiences or tips in the comments below. Your story might help someone else travel safer. Stay smart, stay safe, and keep exploring wisely.